or you speak about having an eighth or ninth grade education. It's very interesting how now it's going to college level. I'd like to know how that came about.
Um, it's just
Ain't it?
um, certain things in life, you can't explain. You just go with it. And I think, you know, had I stopped doing music um, years ago, there would be no completion, you know, with this Harvard situation. Me going from there to there. I think Harvard and Dr. Henry Louis Gates wanted to do something like this and needed someone who would fit with his idea to have a hip hop fellowship and have a name attached to it, um, a name that he felt would give some um, energy behind his idea to have this hip hop fellowship. And I was just honored that I fit. And to me, that is an example of how the streets, no matter where you're from, the streets, if you're from the street, you kind of feel like prestigious schools are not for you. It's not, they don't want you. They train the people that are going to eventually go out into the world and forget you. So to bring me there was saying to America, we are here and we're American, and we have to bridge the gaps between those guys out there in the streets and in the education world. Some reason they chose me, just me being at the right place at the right time, I guess. But then there's no coincidences, you know.
Hi, I'm Janine from kettlemagazine.co.uk. The art form of hip hop and the message of hip hop and what hip hop was created out of has changed so much. So I wanted to know, did that have any play on the message you wanted to bring in filming this, as far as the direction, and did you want to go for a specific message as far as the legacy of hip hop, where it came from, and kind of tying it in with what we're seeing today as what hip hop is represented as?
Go ahead there. I would say, 20 years ago, Ilmatic, for us, Eric and I, inspired us, to actually 20 years later now make a film. What we were hoping to do is, with our film, is inspire the next generation to document or make their stories about their community, their environment, things that affected them. We knew, like you said earlier, we didn't want to just make a music documentary. We wanted to make a movie that affected issues. Specifically, we looked at the back of the album cover, and we looked at the song titles. New York State of Mind, looked at housing in New York. We wanted to know how that affected the Jones family. We looked at Life's a Bitch and looked at the family being torn apart. We looked at One Love and looked at the prison systems. So we decided to look at those songs as metaphors to what was going on, in the community, in the culture, and then relate it to Nas and his story. And it's important for us to really tell our own stories from the inside out, people that lived it, And with technology being the way it is, people can pick up a camera now, so we're hoping this film inspires that.
Daryl Robertson, Don Diva magazine, and looking at the conditions that created Illmatic and the situations in the neighborhoods, did you guys ever think about like going deeper, like into the politics, the housing acts that created the projects in these neighborhoods? Did that ever cross your mind in filming?
Oh yeah, yeah. So in the movie, we do actually explore that. It was important for us. We actually had Dr. Cornell West actually break down the history of the projects and how it came to be after the signing of the GI Bill that allowed for a white flight, and then black people came into those communities. So we do explore that. And as 19 was saying, there are a lot of special parts in the film that we break down, like the prison industrial complex with One Love. That song is special to us personally, but bigger than that, it's special to us as a people, because in that song, Nas writes a letter, pens a letter to a friend who's in jail. But in that letter, he's doing so much work in describing the conditions without beating you over the head with it. And that's the approach we took with the film. We wanted to look at how Ilmatic framed the issues through Nas's lens, and we wanted to do the same thing with the film without beating people over the head with a heavy message, but you walk away with it still.
I'd like to add that this film took a lot of research, So we had about 4 experienced researchers working with us. We have about over 30 hours of footage that didn't make it into the film. And this footage is being archived at the Schomburg Center. So if you ever wanted to check it out, it is there available next year for you. Okay. Any?
Hello. Tony Anderson, TheRoot.com. I have a 2-part question for everybody involved. You know, I got a chance to see the screening, and it was interesting because it was laughs, and then, you know, it seemed like it was laughs at a time when there weren't supposed to be laughs. You know, especially with Jungle, and he talked about the things that made him who he is today. But the audience loved the film. You know, in terms of the reaction that you guys got from viewers, was it what you were looking for and hoping for when you did the project? And specifically for Nas, you know, when Jungle saw the film, assuming he did, I want to know what his take on it was.
Yeah, Jungle was the star of this thing, man. He just appreciates that these guys made the film, and he didn't really express anything but smiles, and we just happy that, you know, the story was told. You know, I'm sure, you know, it was a great chance the story would never get told. So it was just happy that it was a happy moment that we can see the story told, and we don't have to duck, you know, we don't have to, you know, feel bad. It was like it came out well, and I think the people laugh along with Jungle because they can see the outcome that we survived. So it's cool for them to see the harshness of what we had to go through, and know that we made it. He's talking to you today. He's not talking to you from behind the wall. He's not talking to you from footage from a time period and he's no longer here, or I'm no longer here. We're both here to laugh about it ourselves along with the audience. So those parts are great because there's a lot of parts of the film with that it's kind of serious. So Jungle is is very much needed in the film because I'm sometimes not that talkative, and he lets it all out. He cuts no corners. He doesn't play. He tells you how it is. He doesn't care how you feel afterwards. He's gonna say what he feels. So yeah, we needed him there. Yeah.
Hi, how are you? My name is Whitney. I'm from the ANRreport.com. I also write for RapRehab.com. The first thing I want to say is that I'm humbled to be here. I'm a big fan of you, Nas. And and Eric, we went to the same college, so that's what's up. And I liked your piece on Haiti, when you went to Haiti. But this is for everyone on the panel. My first question, it's a 2-part question. My first question would be, for Nas, I guess, how important is it for you, I guess, to kind of like reach back to some of the up-and-coming artists in Queens? Because I'm actually filming a web series right now on up-and-coming MCs, and I asked him to take me to the part of Queens that he's from. I think he's from Astoria, and he was like, oh, you know, it gets dark there, you know, at a certain time, you know, it's not safe. And I was like, well, I don't really care, like, just tell me, show me, like, where you're from. So how important is it for you to reach back to young artists?
That's what the business is built on, is the young artists coming in the game. I think it's important that everybody in rap reaches back to the young artists. yeah, then it's up to that young artist. You know, we reach back, but then the young artist has to like, he has to show up, and that's where it gets real. Yeah.
Hello. Wow, it's loud. Andre Mullen from Access.com. This question actually is for Nas. Just wanted to first, I wanted to applaud 1/9 and my former colleague at Vibe magazine, Eric Parker, on possibly a very groundbreaking movie. But Nas, I think here's what I wanted to ask you, because Ilmatic is considered one of the most prolific albums in hip-hop history. Undoubtedly, the film is the embodiment of the struggle of what hip-hop represents. And now there is a film that actually tells it from and speaks about it. I'm sure not just from, I'm really excited to see the film. And I'm sure it's not just from your point of view alone, but from a wider perspective. How has the film affected the way that you view the impact of your music?
It's a reminder, measuring stick, big time reminder. Took me back to why I even got into the business, why I even wanted to do it, and showed me the time period where things was mad different. Like back then, it wasn't I'm gonna get rich tomorrow. It was about getting some money, but it wasn't like I'm gonna get super rich tomorrow, because that would be against the mission. The mission was to give the people the story after Chuck D, after Eric B, after Cool G Rap, after Ice Cube. The 90s were opening up, and there was a new world, and you know, we were sort of like reporters that came after them, those greats from that era before me. So to remember that was refreshing, because today you can kind of forget. The music is so vast and so everywhere, and so good times and so nothing. And some of the music is great, but it was great to see this film to remember the beginnings of this. And there was no blueprint to it. It went from rap superstars to, hey, here I am, album cover, projects. It was no Rolls Royce on the cover, even though one of my favorite album covers in hip hop is Follow the Leader, when they're sitting on the Rolls Royce. So I love Eric B for that. But this was a different time period where we had something to say, where the fans or the listener could watch us grow. And that was the beginning for me. So it's cool. So I sat back, and it made me want to do a new record. You know, it made me want to do something. It reminded me, like I keep saying reminder, it reminded me where I am today. I needed this movie so it could like say, dog, this is where you are now. Look where you started, and this is where you are now. It gave me my footing, you know what I'm saying, today, so I can remember and continue to do what it's supposed to do what I'm supposed to do in this day and age, and I needed this. Yeah.
We have one more question.
Hi, this is Alvin from Hip Hop Wired. Quick two questions. First for the panel, like 10 years in the making, you know, what, the film's 74 minutes, so what had to be cut that you wish that you could have squeezed in? And actually for Nas, there's a point in the film where Jungle talks about getting shot and how it changed him. And we all know, you know, for lack of a better word, Jungle was about that life, but meanwhile you got your deal, you move on. Don't not necessarily move on, but you know, you move on to bigger and better things while Jungle's still in QB. So what was it like dealing with that?
Well, Jungle changed a little bit. Jungle hasn't changed. wherever we are, wherever he is, he's community based. He's a community guy. He doesn't like Hollywood. He doesn't like the music industry. He likes the hood, and that to me is an honorable thing. He, in a lot of cases, keeps me in the community. He's a lot of the reasons why I go back. So it's a big deal. Like, he's met everybody, from actors to athletes to everybody, and they love him, and he loves them. But he's always gonna stay where he is, and that to me is the best thing around me, because at the end of the day, that's what's real. And you know, he you see it in the movie. You saw the movie. Yeah, you see the movie. He's one of a kind, man. Like he hangs in the hood to this day. And too often we leave and don't come back. And I gotta give it to him. He's a reason, because he's such a fun dude. He's such a funny dude that he's a party. Jungle is a party. And so I think that was one of your questions, right? Yeah, he's a big part of the thing that played in my life. He told me to say one mic. You know, he told me a chorus for I Gave You Power, a song, I Gave You Power. So he'll sit in the studio and hate everything and start mumbling something. A few drinks, he's mumbling something, but I'm hearing it, and it winds up on the song. 5 years later, he fights me about credit. He just realizes it. And then I point out to him, I forgot to give you the credit, but you made the same amount of money that you would with the credit. So it all pans out. And he's been the one of the main guys behind the scenes. And this is the first time you just made me think of that. We talk about it amongst each other, but first time saying it, he's been a super important part throughout the whole thing, but he does not want to be in the music business. He does not want to be in Hollywood. He does not want to be a part of anything except the community. And he's like my hero for that. So, and you had another question, right?
Yeah, it was the... And when you guys answer that, can you talk about the interviews, the people you interviewed?
Yeah, I'd like to hear Naz's take on what you would like to have seen